Hi, my friends. This is Brooke, Medicine Eagle. I wanted to have a literal fireside chat with you today because, in a sense, I'm an elder sister, certainly to many of you, and I've been around a while. And I wanted to reach out and share my thoughts and concerns right now. Um, Especially communication seems really essential right now since we're cut off from each other in many ways. Of course, I acknowledge that we're connected in the oneness, in the wholeness. We're all one family, one being with the greater life, the larger life of Earth and all the universe. And that's White Buffalo Woman's teaching to us about wholeness and holiness. So I'm going to begin with this beautiful white sage that I've picked here on the mountain in northern Mexico, and this wonderful vulture feather that I picked up as well, and just say a short prayer to begin. So great Mother, Father, today we gather together. I send my voice, a voice singing out for the Mother Earth, for all our relations, with concern for our human family and all our family of life. And so I ask today that I might be a hollow bone to bring through what is true and good and helpful, what is beneficial, even in this very, very challenging time. And so I ask that your love, your truth, your words be able to come through me this day, that I might serve all my relations. Ho, mitakuyasan. So, my challenge in a time like this is, in a time of crisis, is to speak not fear in a sense, but to galvanize our hearts and minds into positive action. And a lot of people say, well, you're always talking about something negative. Well, there's some pretty heavy duty stuff going on out there. We as a human family are in very much crisis. And I always tell them, it's kind of like if there was a big train coming, and I just thought, well, gee, it'd be kind of negative to say that they might get killed right now. Then I wouldn't say anything, would I? But I'm not interested in that. I want to say, the train's coming, gang. Let's get off the track here and pay attention to what we need to be doing. So, it's sad, basically, that I have to start with the heaviest of the news, but I'm just going to blurt it out here, because the wisest of our elders say that we only have about 20 years as a human family, one generation to turn things around, to find a way of living in harmony and sustaining regenerative life. Or we as a human family will join all the other things that we're causing to be extinct in this great sixth extinction on Earth. So it's really time to step up, We've made poor choices. We've made ignorant choices, ignoring the truth. We have made selfish choices. And, I don't think we're bad people. We just really haven't been very smart about this whole thing. And we've gotten really caught in our mind and our intellect in thinking that we are very, very special. And we're killing the life underneath us. We stand on the pinnacle of the tree of life, in a sense. And sometimes we think that's, holier than thou. But in fact, what that means is that everything under us, we're dependent upon. That if we take out the blocks from under us, if we harm the life under us, then we fall as well. And we're really right on the edge of that great fall. So I'm very concerned. And we're killing the life under us with our agriculture, with the kind of pesticides that we have going on, industrial for sure, agricultural, and yet as much. A lot of the pollutants, a lot of the things that I'll talk about that are damaging us are literally on our lawns, where our children and our animals play, many of whom are coming up with cancer. So I'm going to talk about that more later, because where I'm going is that I have good and exciting news. Because when we turn things around and stop killing the life that is our life, our whole, all of us, then what's been suppressed, what's been held down, what's been damaged, if it hasn't been killed and damaged too much, life wants to live, life wants to thrive. It's just amazing. And so if we can just take off that weight, that poison, that oily scum, that negativity, if we can allow life to live in the way that it's been doing for a few million or more years, maybe it's billions, I forget. So life itself knows how to do this. And if we can just shift our behavior and clear the way, we're going to have an absolute burgeoning of life. We will have green, beautiful richness on this planet like we literally have not seen in our lifetime, and maybe many lifetimes, because life wants to just burst forth and get strong, and it will become even stronger. I want to show you something just for the fun of it. I've got some sage here with me. And a year or so ago, this beautiful countryside here burned. And I was gathering this beautiful white sage. And it normally looks like this. You know, there's this nice top with a lot of good leaves, and then it gets a little slimmer. But look at this. In the burned areas, look at what it did. It absolutely jumped into life, taking advantage of the fact that it was alive and able to produce. And that literally, I believe, is what's going to happen when we stop damaging things, when we allow life to live itself in a beautiful way. So the thing that's interesting and crucial, of course, is what lies between, in a sense, those two stalks, what lies in between the kind of damage and holding down and suppression and killing of things that we're doing, and this incredible burgeoning. And that's what I want to talk to you about. You know, I can be somewhat philosophical about we as a human family having to leave the earth, although it just breaks my heart. I mean, if there's anything I am in this world, I absolutely love this earth, this exquisitely, radiantly beautiful blue-green earth that we were given as a planet, as a home. And that's what I'm here about, to be an earth keeper. And so I'd be incredibly sad if we couldn't bring it back around. I mean, one of my goals, I'm supposed to live to be very old. And one of my wishes is to see it burgeon again, to see it flower, to see our hearts flower, like the Dawn Stars teachings talk about, our hearts flower so that the whole of earth can then flower. But as I said, I could be somewhat philosophical because I do have a sense that we live forever, you know, that we were given eternal life. As Chief Seattle says, there is no death, there's only a change of worlds. So we'll change worlds. But one of the interesting things that Carlos Castaneda had asked Don Juan one time in the Toltec tradition, he said to him, you know, how do I find my way back if I'm journeying out in these strange places? How do I find my way back? And Don Juan said to him something that I absolutely believe is true. He said, Earth is the sweetest place. Earth is the sweetest place. We have been given the sweetest place to live, and yet we have done such damage to it and to the life that lives on it. So, you know, I think that ignorance, hopelessness, maybe laziness, lack of motivation really plague us all in this very weird time. But you know the old story about the frog in water. We're kind of sitting around going, well, I don't know, it's not so great, but I don't know what I can do. And I don't know. And the frog kind of swims around in there, it's not too bad. And all of a sudden the heat goes up and up and up, and pretty soon the frog dies. And, you know, I think people, we really need to step up. Here we are in this amazing time. So many of you who are my friends and my family out there are people of high consciousness, of awareness, of wakefulness. And now is the time for us to show who we are and to step up and make a difference. And the bottom line is that we need to clear up pollution of all kinds. It's harming our genetic makeup. We need to return to the ways that nature has worked for millennia. And when we do, when we can go back and allow life to live and move in the way that it knows how, that it's done over all of this time, long before we humans were here and up and now, all the way up to now, when that great life knows how to do what it does. If we can just step back and step out of the way and clear things up and let life live itself, we'll have a radiant planet. And it will be a real gift to the generations that come. And I want to talk a little bit. I have notes here because I want to move through this relatively quickly and I can get off on tangents. So I'm looking at my notes. So I want to talk quickly a bit about how nature works. Nature is diverse, and everything is both divinely sovereign and necessary. I'm going to say that again. Nature is incredibly diverse, honoring everything. Everything is both divinely sovereign in itself and necessary to everything else. One time I saw this vision of white buffalo woman standing beside me, a great chasm in front of me, the polluted, negative world, screaming, yelling, radiation, warring, fighting behind me, and across an absolutely incredibly beautiful, clear, radiant, blossoming, pure air, birds singing, children playing, life all abundant, all of us offering our best gifts. And I was really sad because I couldn't see any way to cross, and I wanted to get over there so badly. And so this beautiful, radiant woman, I think of her as Rainbow Woman, maybe it was White Buffalo Woman, came to stand beside me. She left her feet planted beside me and she shot herself across in a rainbow of light and touched the other side. And her voice said in my heart, in order to cross the chasm into that new and radiant time, you need to walk on a rainbow bridge of light. That means all colors, all shapes, all sizes, everything needs to be included. We can't just, take us on a spaceship and zip over to the other side and think it's going to be fine. No, no, no. It needs to be all of us, the wholeness, the holy, one, amazing, diverse, beautiful being that we all are with all the family of life. So everything is interdependent. That's the second thing. Everything is interdependent. As I said before, humans are on the top of the tree, but we're dependent and interdependent, excuse me, with everything else. One of the things that's coming up a lot now is we're learning about the microbiome, about that those tiny, unseeable by the eye anyway, those tiny ones who make up a good portion of our body, much more than our human DNA. They're little bacteria, parasites. There's a whole virome that's all the viruses that move through us, 10 to the 10 million times, it seems like, all around us, moving through us, informing us, all of that. And it's all important. It's all a part of us. We can't divide ourselves out. We are not divisible. When you cut something off, you cut it off from life and it's finished. It's done. Do you know that the human part of us can't even digest food? If we didn't have all the little bacteria and the little parasite guys and all the little archaea and all the things, I mean, the archaea that live in us are some of the first kinds of living cells that came upon the earth. They're still here working with us in a process of working together. So that, like we're a garden. We think of ourselves as this separate individual human being. We're not. We're a garden of life, of connection, of interconnection, of interdependence, and hopefully cooperation with that. And that's the third thing. Nature is based in cooperation rather than destruction. It's like, let's say trees, there was Darwin and all of that, and things do compete, if there's something really weak, it will die and the stronger one goes on. That's part of thriving, is the strong ones carrying on. But the thing that was forgotten is that cooperation is really the base of things. I just read a wonderful book recently, again, The Hidden Life of Trees. And Peter Wollwein is reminding us that the trees are cooperating with everything else. When there's a drought, they bring water up to feed and nurture the whole circle around them. My teacher, Bill Mollison in permaculture, said that, species don't live on their own. One of the things that he would encourage us to create would be a 7-storied food forest, he called them. And it's like you need the big tall trees, maybe the fruiting trees, the bushes, the tall bushes, the smaller bushes, the grasses, the small grass, the big grasses, the small grasses, down into all the rooted things and the ones that bring nitrogen. And there are 7 layers. And if you can put those 7 layers together that all like each other and cooperate, then they will do it on their own. They'll take off on their own. So you can create something. He used to say the designer should be the recliner, because you can work really hard to put things together, but then after a few years, you should be able to take your hands off it and it should go on its own, because that's how nature does it. It cooperates, it works together. All those things help each other. And that's really the basis of life, not struggle and fighting and meanness, cooperation and sharing. Trees may, push around and try to get the best light and space, but they also nourish their neighbors and take care of each other. And the challenge we've had as humans is we think we need to kill stuff and destroy stuff in order to live. It's like kill life and then we'll have all the life and all the goodness we want. And that absolutely does not work. It will not work. And we need to stop doing that stuff. We need to change our mind. Pasteur thought we needed to kill the bacteria. Well, there are some bad bacteria. Yeah, he was right about that. But Cook and others that were working at that time, and even him at the end of his life, said, it's not about killing all the bacteria. My gosh, we need all these amazing, they're all of them doing these amazing tasks in our body. And it's not the bacteria, it's the terrain they're in. It's the environment they're in that literally makes the difference, whether that bacteria does a negative function or a positive function. So we need to change our mind and catch up with modern science. Modern science is connecting so strongly to spirituality, about oneness and wholeness and holiness. And my spirituality has always been a practical spirituality. It needs to work. I want it to work for us here, right here on this sweet earth. So that's where I am for sure. And the 4th principle I put down is the process of life is much more complex than we can imagine or track or duplicate. Modern fertilizers, they throw a little bit of 3 kinds of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium on the ground. It brings great big green plants, but it absolutely doesn't have all of the things that come from natural composting and manure and all of those things, and all the little bugs that work and all the life that causes things to happen. And when it has that full base under it, that full compost rich base, then nutrients, the phytonutrients we need are in the food. And if not, we don't get the food we need. It may look green and pretty, but it doesn't have what we need. And it's part of what is damaging our ability to live, to be healthy, to be strong. So we need to get it that things are so much more complex that we can't just take it over and make something that will work. We need to pay attention to the earth, to the life and how it lives. The sun is vital to our deeper processes. It triggers processes within us. The moon and stars help us, they help our nervous system be softened and calmed and healed. Darkness gives us rest, where the body creates necessary compounds at night, all these things. And the literal earth, if you walk on the earth with either natural shoes or your bare feet, the earth's vibration is balancing and healing. It's a little bit of a negative charge, and that negative charge is what life needs to move and to be, and what your body needs. It's alkaline. So, and there's a wonderful book out called Eat Dirt. And it's really about the fact that if you kill everything, if you put someone in a sterile room where there's nothing going to bother, no bacteria, no nothing, it's like sterilize. If they walk out into the normal world, it's like they can't do it. You need to be in the world. You need to be active with it. You need to be involved with it to have that immunity that's so important. It's just like in Native America before 1492 or so, when the Europeans started coming, the Europeans were rife with disease. The Europeans were dying from disease and pestilence and not bathing and all of these things. And when they came and brought smallpox and other things, they destroyed, I wish I knew the number, but I have a sense it was like 75% of the millions of amazing people that were living here on this continent who had no immunity because they'd never been around that stuff. And it's the same with us. If we separate ourselves, that was a natural separation, of course, but it's just to illustrate that if you're not accustomed to something, if you haven't built up your immunity by interacting with it, then you are in deep trouble, basically. I'm told not to use these antibacterial hand washes and all this, wash with soap and clean things up, but don't be killing everything. It's not okay. It doesn't work. And the thing is that life is adaptive. So what we're doing as a human, well, everything in the circle of life is adapting to everything around it. The sun, the seasons, the air, the microbes, the pollens, everything. We're taking it in and it's teaching us and helping our systems adjust. Even now they're starting to understand that viral, there are viruses that are really helpful to us. Many of them, they're bad guys. There are rotten apples in the place, but same with us humans. Doesn't mean we're all bad. So those viruses are coming in and helping tell us what we need. They're helping us adapt, even if they give us that achy, coldy stuff that kind of a common virus does. It's helping our body kick up its immunity and figure out how to live in a situation. And part of what's going on right now is that that information is coming into systems that are so compromised that it causes a lot of problems. And we have these virulent, heavy duty viruses. Who knows where they came from exactly, but they're very heavy duty and they're very challenging. So we need to be involved in life. The best thing you can do is get out there and garden, get your hands in the ground, let those microbes come up, let that wonderful scent of the earth, get a little dirty, get out there, be in and around the ground, because the thing that's going on is that, well, I'll talk about that in a minute. I want to give you the sixth principle. The sixth principle is that intelligence is more than intellect. You have a brain in your heart. This is the main brain. This is the one that connects to everything. And we have a deeper brain than this little forebrain piece of the human thinking. We've got this deep connection down through our spine to all of the intelligence down through time that helps us know how to survive and thrive. So we need to get out of our head, get into our heart, get into our body, get into our deeper experience, into that, to drop away from the thinking and emotional mind and drop into deep intelligence. Primary people down through time have understood that. It's not about thinking and figuring it out. It's about connecting deeply to the intelligence of Earth and allowing this amazing, amazing life that lived forever and has created us to teach us how to be here. We're children. We humans are little children compared to a lot of the life around us. And we're messing with things. We're damaging things. And we're going to pay hard for it if we don't wake up and step into the circle of maturity, in as people of heart, as people of love and respect and honoring and waking up and perceiving and connecting, intimately connecting with the life around us. So I want to tell you how I see it right now. And my way of seeing certainly is based on limited information. It's hard to find good information, but I really pay attention and I've looked for the best I can find. I'm curious, I'm open, I'm incredibly bright. So I've been looking. And what you need to do, I think, is to really open your heart and look and listen. Don't limit yourself. Try to find the most powerful and clear information. And even if it's like kind of over the edge, whatever's got it going to help us now is going to be very different than what has been in the past. You need to step up and get current with the kind of research and the kind of information that's out there at the forefront, at the cutting edge of science and awakefulness. So I want to talk about pollutants. Now, human beings have been around a long time without having to adapt to these. And they say it takes something like 10,000 years for our system to really build a pattern of working with new kinds of things, especially things that are really heavy duty. So here we are in the last 50, 60, 100 years with all of this new stuff. It might be good in so many ways, but there are parts of it that are incredibly challenging to us. And one of the things I want to talk about is light. I'm really on it about light, all this light going, all these big fancy lights going on. That changes the rhythm in our bodies, in the bodies of the birds and everything, the butterflies, everything. It changes the rhythms of life. And I find that it's based on fear. We've got all this light on because we're afraid. We need to love each other is how we need to take care of it, not turn on a bunch of lights. So light pollution, having light on all the time, even into the night. You can study, you can look up, the kind of EMFs and the effect of light on you if you're having this computer light on all the time and late into the night, what that does to you. There's plenty of information out there. I wear a kind of glasses when I work at night, and that really help take care of that. So it's a very good idea to start researching that and make a difference there. Another thing is sound. You know what's so wonderful when we get out into the forest, way out. So quiet. There's that breeze. Maybe there's a beautiful stream. You can hear it down a ways. It's tinkling and running over the rocks and the trees. You can hear the wind in the trees. I mean, that's what people listen to forever, practically. Our modern time is like the teeniest piece of life. Down through all of that time, we didn't have this gasoline engine stuff. It's fun to be in some of the modern cars. You know, it's like weird, but you turn them on and there's no, just quiet. Feels weird, but it's wonderful. We have the capacity to do that kind of thing, to stop all this bloody noise. And another thing is radiation. You know, we started in the early days with electrical lines and X-ray, pretty heavy duty stuff, really. You know, we know, I mean, you can look at any of the information that's out there now. Science shows us that all those heavy electric lines and transformers, absolutely, cancer and all that stuff goes up. So they're disturbing. We're electrical beings as well as everything else. We're chemical electrical beings, and that disturbs things. So even just the electric lines, you know, having electricity around your head when you sleep at night and all of that, it's all affecting you. And then there's, you know, I got a kick out of it the other day. I went to my wonderful dentist here in Mexico. He's just a radiant, amazing guy, and does my work for about a fourth of what I would have to pay otherwise. And so he did a X-ray of me, and I always kind of cross my fingers and ask for a blessing around that. But he put this big heavy vest on me, and then he went way, that's what they do, remember, in dentist office, they go way around the corner. So they're not going to get any of that. And they shield us, except the part that gets hit. So X-rays and all of that. And then, of course, there's radio, there's TV, and then cell phones. And all you need to do is look around a little bit at what's going on. I mean, one of the things that was really powerful for me is I have a lot of friends that are farmers and ranchers and cowboys. And a lot of times they'd stick their cell phone in their front pocket. Do you know those guys are getting breast cancer? It's like, whoa. These kids that walk around with this on their head all the time, these little tiny babies from the time they're tiny, working with that stuff, you know, I mean, don't pretend. It's so easy to find out what the effects of that are, and they're not good. And now we have 5G. It has some very interesting possibilities, you know, like a lot of things, but it is heavy duty, and it's not good for us at all. So we really need to be paying attention to that kind of radiation. Then another thing is pharmaceuticals, all the antibiotics. I mean, they're just killing everything with those antibiotics, including all the good little microbiome, these wonderful helpers in your belly, just damaging with all of that stuff. And they're getting so they don't work anyway. They have to be stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And pretty soon they're not even going to work. We're right close to that point right now. So we need to figure something else out. And, you know, we've got herbs, we've got the wisdom of ancient cultures, we've got ancient practices, acupuncture, homeopathy, herbalism. You know, there are modern things that work. Yes, there are. You know, some of our modern procedures and techniques work, but I'm telling you, antibiotics don't. They never did, and they never will. So we need to start figuring it out, and we're smart enough to do that. It's just that we have the pharmaceutical companies and a few other folks like that that are pressing that stuff on us and changing our schools and doing a million things. But you need to step up and choose something different than that. You need to be active around this stuff. It's not going to change. As long as they're making big money, they're not going to change anything. You need to step up. So it's really important. And the other thing is pesticides. Now, as I said, you know, they're spraying Roundup and all that. I'll talk about that. But one of the things that I want you to do is you look under your sink. You look in your garage and where all the cleaning products, if you've got stuff that has all these weird names on it, those are chemicals that are not very likely not good for anything. You can make a jar of white vinegar with citrus in it and clean just about anything you need to clean in your kitchen. You can look up, there are a million things now telling you how you can get rid of all of that. I don't know how you get rid of it. I would hate, you don't want to pour it down the toilet. That'll kill a bunch of stuff down the line. Pour it on the ground. It's like, I don't know where you get rid of it, but get rid of it. Figure it out. These are your life, your children's life, and your grandchildren's life are counting on you right now for some of these things. So I'm going to tell you about one specific pesticide that I'm very concerned about. A little story about glyphosates. It's what Roundup is made of. Just a little quickie is that, you know, my generation had DDT as well. We started the dive with DDT. Some of the kids used to run when they were spraying DDT around. The kids would run in the spray. You know, that was not good. And all of this Roundup, that's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's water soluble and it goes into the air. So it's everywhere. Unless we get rid of it fully, we're going to have it in our bodies and it's going to be damaging to us. I want to make a quick little run through what happened. In Vietnam, there was a company called Monsanto that was invited to make a defoliant, a literal something that would kill green life. And they used that to, kill the life so they could see the villagers and kill them and get rid of them. So when that conflict was over, here's this big company with a lot of this killing stuff, and they wanted something to do with it. Well, they found out that it would clean out pipes, you know, like an industrial and other kind of pipes, it would clean them out. Hey, wow, that's great. There's a use for it. Well, what they saw was like, oh my God, when it drained out of those pipes and down into life, it killed everything, killed every green thing, stuff we can't see, all the microbiome, all of those things. It just killed everything. So it, they didn't think it was so bad then. I mean, there were reports about it being cancerous and how much it killed and how damaging it was, but it wasn't such a big deal until they did GMOs. So they made plants that wouldn't die of it. So they spray it on and those few plants will live and everything else is killed. Everything is damaged. Only those plants are not damaged. And that stuff is around. It's in the air. It's everywhere. You know, the pesticides, I think they say 282 or 86 pesticides, chemicals are found in the blood of a baby, a newborn baby. That is not okay. No wonder our children are so challenged. Those innocent babies are being challenged and harmed by what we're doing. So the soil microbes that are the essence of life, that give those nutrients and make life as it needs to be, those are gone. The nutrient density is lowered when all this is sprayed on crops. What they did is in the 1970s, they came out with all this Roundup and they started the Green Revolution. They had all these chemicals, what am I trying to say, nutrients for the plants, all the NPK and all of that. They said, use these things, use these sprays, get rid of the pests, and we will feed the world. What a wonderful ad campaign. Because what was true is it's absolutely opposite. They stuffed stuff into us, but not good food. And so we're suffering from that. We are definitely suffering from that. And the bugs adapt and then you have to spray more. That's good for their pocketbook. And then the ag schools, all of their teaching is supported by these big chemical companies and pesticide companies. So that's what guys learned that kind of went to school to figure it all out. And what's interesting is that the state of Kansas, which is agriculture, the state of Kansas can't even feed itself. They're growing GMO crops that will make another pair of stretchy leggings for your yoga class, which is really what you need for sure, instead of good food. So Kansas has to go outside for its food. So you can't tell me that the Green Revolution is feeding the world. That's not true. So we need to wake up to all of this stuff. And, your body is in trouble. All of our bodies are challenged enormously by this. They're filled with pesticides. And what happens with Roundup is it not only kills the little mitochondria that are the powerhouses in the body, it kills and interferes with the interstitial fluid that allows that to heal. And when those cells are alive but can't function right, they can't produce their food, they're basically cancer. And then they need to suck energy and life from everything around them. And they are incredibly good at multiplying. And another thing that's damaged is apoptosis. A very interesting, boop, it pops out of here. If a cell is damaged in a normal, healthy body, boop, it's dispersed, it's gone. It doesn't get to reproduce. But that cycle is damaged. So those cells stay inside of us and begin to produce and produce and take and take and take until they hurt us very badly and kill. So we have reduced immunity, reduced resilience, reduced adaptability, reduced health. And that, my friends, leads to pandemics. That's what we need to address to deal with the pandemics that are here now and could be coming more and more and more. We need to go right straight back to food and to not killing the life around us. That's the bottom line. One of the things I talk to women about, and I find they resist it. It blows my mind. I tell them dryer sheets. Those dryer sheets that keep your clothes from being all staticky. Oh, I hate it when they're staticky. They kill all the insect life. They're neonicotinoids. You can read it on the label. There are some that they don't, the kind of new age, better health food ones don't do that. But the regular old ones, Bounce and all of those, they are killing. That all goes right out into the environment, the dryer vent, and it's out there killing the bees that are essential to our life on Earth, that pollinate a third of our crops, and butterflies, every kind of insect. They have done studies, and we have 76% less insects. Now that's one of those little bricks, one of those little tiers that are underneath that tree of life that we stand on. We've knocked out 76% of it, and it isn't okay. And it's extremely frightening that we have done that. Stop doing that stuff. You don't have to do that. There are other ways. You can get nice little wool dryer balls and put up with a little static. Or are you choosing to have your clothes be the way you'd like them rather than having your grandchildren live? I'm serious here, and I am concerned about this stuff. And I'm aggravated with people that won't wake up a little bit and start making a difference. They're sitting around saying, I don't know what to do. Well, wake up. Start looking at what's possible. And there are so many things that are possible. One of the things I'm hoping to put out is kind of a next step talk, so that some of these things can be shared with you. So, all of these things, cell phones, on and on, there are a million things going on that we can change. It's like our lawns. I mean, that is a big one, people. Please, please, please start paying attention. You want to have a lawn that, quote, looks good to you, that somebody decided is what looks good, instead of having dandelions in it. Dandelions who absolutely give us medicine. They give us a tonic to make us healthy in the spring. We can use them in a million different ways. These beautiful, beautiful flowers. If you don't like them, you can plant things you can look and online, they tell you all these different things you can plant if you want a different kind of lawn that uses less water. Less water is important. Water's a big one. And will be green and pretty and doesn't need mowing very much. There are all these possibilities out there. And they're not just cute. They're not just new age. They're not just, oh, isn't that wonderful? Isn't that person new age and groovy? You need to pay attention to this stuff, or Let your kids run around on the Roundup. Let your animals. I don't know many animals that aren't dying of cancer. That's not normal. That's because they're in an environment filled with something that's not good for them. So that's your choice. And you need to make a choice, an informed choice. And that's why I'm talking to you. I'm going to feed my fire a little bit. All right. So I want to talk quickly about Wuhan. Wuhan's an interesting example. I believe I'm pronouncing that right, where they say the virus came from. Wuhan was interesting because it was polluted by feed yards and contamination from animals that was very not natural animals out there in a healthy way, but animals in feed yards. There was the pollution index was the highest in the world. And what I understand now is that when the pollutants get to a certain density, the cyanide and other negative chemicals literally ride on the back of viruses into the system. And when we see that people turning blue and not being able to breathe, that's not a lung issue. That's a red blood cell issue, and it's cyanide and pollutants that are damaging that pattern, that there's a 4-leaf clover kind of pattern of that red blood cell, and it's the damage to that. So it's cyanide poisoning, it's pollutant poisoning that's happening, that those viruses carry in. And you can't shove oxygen into a system that doesn't have the little transporters that take it from the outside into the blood and give it to the human. They've killed people with those bloody respirators. They stopped doing that now. But they got to wake up and see when someone turns blue, you got to figure out what's going on with their red blood cells. So, and another thing is that they dumped a bunch of 5G towers in there. So those people were under attack at every possible level. And then that started spreading around the earth. You know, it's like all of this kind of pollutant stuff, it's literally building up to a point. It's like a breaking point. It's a tipping point. We're at a tipping point, and we have made the perfect storm. We have made the perfect storm. We have intense disease now moving through everyone. It damages anyone who is susceptible with a kind of pre-existing weakness. And so much of it, we say, well, these young people that look healthy, but they've lived in this unhealthy world. They might have been filled with pesticides and radiation and all of these things that don't show, but something was weak. People who are not weak are not susceptible. They just have a little mild flu and headache and whatever, and they're fine. So it's our susceptibility that's the challenge. So there are a lucky few that have epigenetic and lifestyle and food choice lifestyles that give them strength. And that's what we all need. So the real cure to me for what's going on, and it's not a pill, it's not a vaccine. Those things might help. Masks help. We need to do whatever we need to do right now. But I'm talking about the real cure, the real down the line, making a difference. And that's about clearing pollutants and allowing the natural processes that the Mother Earth has created over a millennium of time. We need to clean up our bodies, clean out. We need to get healthy food, and we need to support organic regenerative farms. Instead of going, those dumb farmers, they're the ones that feed you, and you need to help them change over to be organic. And there's a wonderful, you can look it up. It's a mentor of mine, Zach Bush, and a whole lot of wonderful people have put together something called Farmer's Footprint to help farmers, to support them, to give them the financial backing to change over to healthy soil and help healthy people. And they can do that in as little as 1 season if they have what they need. They start making better money. Their families start to be healthy, because in those places where there is spray, the children are in deep trouble. They are so damaged and so challenged. Someone told me that in the Central Valley of California, I drove down through there not long ago, and they have to keep the children locked inside some musty, dirty trailer house to keep them out of the pesticides that kill them all summer long. So we need to figure out the radiation thing as well. You know, we need to figure out the radiation thing. Lights, there are things called motion lights, and in places where there are observatories, they have these orange lights, like in Tucson, Arizona. If you've ever been there, there are orange lights there because they don't want to have so much light that they can't see at the observatory there on the mountain. So we have ways of doing this, people. We can stop this stuff. We can shift things so that we can be healthy. We can find other means. There are already incredible means out there of other kinds of energy and propulsion. You know, the Tesla and battery cars, and I mean, there are ways of unlimited energy. All of it's been suppressed by those, what I call the oily scum, the petrochemical industries. But there's so much out there. We are a brilliant, capable people. We just need to step up and choose that. And we really need to be fierce. We need to stand up and not fight in the sense of meanness and hurting, but of fiercely saying, no more. I will not have that. We will have a clean life. I will sacrifice my whatever, you know, my perfect lawn to make a difference on earth. Because I want to say to you, when your grandchildren, if they get to live, look back and say to you, hey, what were you doing when the earth was killed, when all these pesticides and all this stuff was killing us? What did you do? How did you act? What choices did you make? And I hope you can say something good, because the information is out there. You just need to act on it. And the positive thing, again, is that nature loves to thrive. It loves to thrive. And all we need to do is allow it to do that. We need to get fierce and active. And there's so much that's positive, because I want to tell you a little quick thing about, like, there's a whole new thing going around cryotherapy, which is therapy of cold, using cold. Football teams, for you guys, use it, because when you take your temperature, your body temperature down to not freezing, not damaging the tissue, take it down to where your body goes, take it down and take that cold off, the body jumps. It's immunity. It heals faster. These athletes are healing incredibly fast. The ones like football players who get damaged every week, they're finding this incredible healing with this. So there's all of this kind of thing that says to us that if we don't kill something, if we don't damage it so much it can't jump back, it will burgeon again, and things will really be beautiful. And we're in the arising time of the feminine, both men and women. We're really in the time when now we turn away from the negative patriarchy and what I call the destructive masculine, not the wonderful, fathering, loving, beautiful energy of men, but the destructive energy that we've associated with the masculine, and turn as men and women both to nurturing, to caring for, to respecting, to supporting life. And in the rising time of the feminine, there's this energy moving up. It's life's great cycle moving around, and for us to cooperate with it so that we can allow this amazing possibility, this magical blossoming that I believe is possible on earth. And we are the ones who are going to do it. We can't just hang out and think it's going to happen. Oh gosh, everything will be all right. It's not going to be all right unless you do something. So I want to talk to you about my life and what I'm doing. One of the things is, you know, I've been traveling and working around the world a lot, and I'm really ready to settle down. I've been without a home for 8 years. I'd really like to settle down in a community of green and growing and natural healing and all of that. I'm looking for that kind of a place. I'm a good and willing worker. I'm knowledgeable. I'm capable. I love to work. I love outside. I love animals. I love gardening, all of that. So that's where my life is heading. And I'm also totally devoted to making a difference in this time that we're in and offering everything I can offer. When the full moon rose in the equinox, last equinox, I was in France, confined in beautiful France. And I pledged when that moon came up over the water, I pledged another 20 years of offering to the world in any way I can. That's what I'm here for. And that's what I'm doing. And I want to join with all of you in that. I'm going to give you everything I can to help you. That sense of practical spirituality. I don't care whether it's cleaning under your sink or praying together for others. All of the things that work beautifully, I'm going to share at every level I can. I'm going to put out again my Power and Beauty training series, which is about health and empowerment and wisdom and leadership. There's a special women's component that we've been working with, but I'm going to create and put out there now Men Standing Tall, which is the men's component of that. Then there's Love is the Answer, about this heart and how incredible it is, the resource, the richness, the intelligence of it. And then Ancient Brain Shaman's Body, really helping us look at the deep intelligence that's going to make a difference for us right now. Another thing I'm putting out is going to be called Dancing Under the Tree of Life, and it'll be an 8 ceremony cycle to move through the year in ceremony and wholeness, honoring the movement of life. So I'll be telling you about that. Another thing is I'm pretty darn healthy and light for the age that I am. And I want to tell you what I've done. I'd love to just hang out with a group of you and say, this is what I've done. This is how I've done it. And we can share with each other what works to stay healthy, to stay vibrant, to stay alive. Because I really believe that we can do that much beyond the years that we think we've had. I'm interested. I don't even care how long I live, although I'm supposed to live to be very old, but I choose to have it be healthy and vibrant and alive. So I'd love to share that with you. And then I'm looking for probably about 13 exceptional women, ordinary women that want to become extraordinary, who want to heal, to work with me for a year-long process, a mastermind, work with me and each other to create as much wholeness and healing and health and vibrance and power and empowerment and beauty and richness that we can create, and then step into leadership in the world in our own way, whatever that might be, whether it's our local PTA or something, a Greta Thunberg out in the world. So I'll be looking for you. It's going to be a powerful program, an intense and high level program, but I want to play with you. I want a little clan to play with and work with so we can do something really extraordinary. And then I'm going to do shorter classes on anything I can think of that will be helpful to you. I'm going to post things, free things, as much as I can to offer to you. So you'll be hearing from me, email, social media, whatever. I think a lot of you are on my mailing list. Invite others, tell everybody about anything that's useful and helpful, because that's what I want to be doing. And I'm going to invite your support as well. You know, like a lot of people, I lost all my basic annual income with the COVID and not being able to do what I normally do. I'm working hard to put things out online, but I'd really appreciate your donation. If you've gotten something of value, then I'd love to have you offer something back. And I want to say thank you, Pilamaya, aho, because there are several ways that you can help me. One is Patreon. You can find that on my website and all of that, and on my email. It's literally a way you can support monthly with a tiny bit or a lot. It's like all of that is so helpful to give me the baseline where I can keep working and helping you. And there are so many ways. You can make a donation for anything that I do, and that will help me to continue serving you. So we'll put up a link here where you can make an offering if you'd like. And for sure, I'm going to be seeing you down the line. I'm a spiritual warrior. I'm joyous about the opportunity to serve this beautiful Mother Earth and to serve life. I won't be giving up. I won't. I'd like to walk with you into a radiant future. Willing people, active people, fierce, loving people are my kind of people. We can do this. I'm going to close with a song and a blessing. Walk in beauty, it's all around you. Walk in beauty, let love surround you. Walk in beauty, make it around you. Walk in beauty with love for all. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 hey. So Creator, Mother, Father, love and light, you have made us. Let us find that love and light in ourselves, the beauty of our hearts, the richness of our dedication. Let us move into the world and absolutely bring what you have prophesied, what you have shown us, this golden, radiant time for ourselves, for our children, and for the children of all our relations. V'takriyasan. This is for all my relations. Thank you so much.